going on, guys? This is Dumber Orange 927 here, back again for a another video. Even though I won't lie, it's been a while since I made one, but you know, school and all that, and now since I'm out, I'm willing to try and make more videos for you guys, so that'll be fun. And here with me, guys, I have a guest with me, who too has been, you know, long overdue with videos. Allow me to welcome Dusk Thunder 9.
Hey guys.
And today we are doing a kind of a casual podcast-based video on Battlefield 5. We spent a long time looking at this game. You know, like, we were originally going to make our own thoughts and opinions, but we wanted to wait till E3 to see, you know, what stuff would be out. And yeah, we're just going to talk about it, how we feel about the game, and, you know, kind of just predictions on whether or not we think it'll be good. So, yeah. So, for now, we're going to start with, I would probably say, do you want to start with what we do like or don't like first?
I guess let's start out with what we do like.
Alright, well, of course, but this is to be expected from a DICE game, obviously, but graphics look incredible, as always.
Yeah, really good graphics up to standards with the rest of the Battlefields.
Like, it has just the right amount of technical advancements. I don't think it went too far ahead of what Battlefield 1 did, but it's still, like, really nice.
Yeah, it's probably like Battlefield 1 graphics, maybe better a little bit.
Just better textures and stuff, but
yeah.
Overall, pretty good. Honestly, yeah, like, another thing, sound design is really good. Like, overall, anything graphically, just with their presentation, is good. Like, that's kind of to be expected.
Yeah, they make the game look and sound really good. That's always, like, what's expected out of DICE, and they always, like, prove that.
Like, they always deliver, and they never, like, really disappoint in that area.
Yeah.
Another thing I like is, well, I guess we can just discuss each part and just how we feel, since, you know, we never really talked about fully how we feel about each new thing. So, the first new thing I would probably say is, what's your thoughts on, like, a lot of the new systems? Like, the new gunplay, the, how the movement system is with all their new, like, features, and then probably the biggest thing is this, like, this one doesn't have full-on regenerating health anymore.
Oh yeah. So with the gunplay, personally, I don't think it's necessarily a huge difference, but there is definitely a difference between this and the rest of the Battlefields. You can just tell that there's tighter gun play when you shoot. Like, you hit more of your shots than normal Battlefields, and you know, it's not as like, you know, there's not as much bullet drop and stuff as other Battlefields, which kind of makes it easier. But I mean, it's not like it's too bad to the point where I think it's gonna, like, alienate a lot of Battlefield fans, but it definitely, I think, is noticeable in some aspects. And there is, I don't know this for a fact, but I feel like there might be a shorter time to kill. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was actually going to figure. Basically, through sources like Drifter, they've been implying that that Battlefield 5 has, like, a shorter time to kill, or at least, like, killing people is easier. Like,
yeah.
Like, it could just be a byproduct that there's no regenerating health anymore, so, like, a lot of people you're going to shoot at, like, have, like, half health. But, like, honestly, it's just weird. Like, honestly, I can't really tell, but if it is true that the time to kill is faster, I don't think that's a good thing, because especially if they're not gonna have buffer there.
Health.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if they're not gonna have regenerating health, they need to at least try to compensate with that by having a longer time to kill.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the whole regenerating health thing, like, I don't know what's up with like, games all doing the same thing at the same time. Like, Black Ops 4 is not having regenerating health anymore. It's like, I feel like everyone's kind of just doing the same thing. I don't know why they're deciding to go back to
more traditional style health.
I guess it's refreshing, and it could be cool, but I don't know. I mean, I didn't see necessarily a need for it. Like, I feel like the health system works fine the way it is, as much as it's not necessarily realistic, but neither is getting health packs that will revive you either. You know, it's
neither is getting stabbed by a syringe and instantly coming back to life.
Yeah.
Like, the whole premise is that, like, honestly, with the regenerating health, I find the concept interesting, especially how they're doing it. Like, there is health regenerating, but it only does it to a certain point. I think there's two issues with this, though. One, it doesn't really, at least as far as the gameplay I've seen, it doesn't really make it clear on how much health you're going to recharge to. Like, there's not really a bar or anything like, say how much you're going to gain back. Which kind of makes it tricky, because it's like, well, do I go out in the field trying to advance, like, not knowing how much health I'm going to get back? And I think another issue is that it's like, I'm just concerned that it's going to make gameplay really, like, static if everyone has to, like, all of a sudden retreat to get med packs. Like,
yeah.
Like, I think if they're going to keep the med pack system and have it where, like, you have to use, like, first aid kits to actually get, like, full health, then they should at least allow the soldiers, like, you know, like, the player, to at least, like, carry a health pack or two. That way they can just use it on the fly.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the medic class probably will allow you to carry a med kit or something with you.
Well, yeah, of course they will. It's just, like, you know, medics are kind of hard to come by, and, you know, unfortunately, Battlefield 1 was any indication, not too many people use medic class, so...
Yeah. But overall, as you can see from the gameplay here, it looks fluid, it looks smooth. I'm still skeptical upon the new gunplay. I'm gonna have to play it myself and see how it is. Again, I'm more Call of Duty fan, so me it won't affect personally, but I'm sure Battlefield fans, diehard Battlefield fans, are gonna have problems with it, you know?
Well, I honestly, for myself, like, you know, I'm not the greatest hardcore Battlefield fan. I started back in, well, I did a little bit of Battlefield 3, but I really didn't get into it till Battlefield 4. And, like, at that point, like, Battlefield Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3 I did a little bit, but Battlefield 4 I fully got into. And the whole thing is that, my only concern is that if they make the gunplay for every gun easier, that's going to include snipers. And that's going to concern me, because, like, the thing about Battlefield 4, which honestly has my favorite sniper system, is, like, the idea is that the snipers are really devastating in that game, but they're insanely difficult to use. And I'm just concerned that if, like, they make the snipers easy to use, then that's all people are going to be using.
Yeah, I heard from when I watched Drifter's video, he played the game early at E3, and he said a lot of people would sit back and snipe. Like, even Angry Joe, when we saw him, and I don't know Angry Joe, like, I don't really watch his videos, I don't know if he plays Battlefield often, but he got a few kills with the sniper, and I don't think he uses it often. If you can get kills with a sniper rifle and you don't play that much, then you know they're too overpowered. Like, maybe if they're gonna keep the gunplay the way it is, they at least need to adjust it for some guns like the sniper rifles, because if they're easy to use, it's gonna get annoying. Like, it's gonna be like a snipe fest. Like, this guy right here is using the sniper.
Well, it's gonna get to a point where it's like, if 90% of the people are using snipers and 10%'s like everything else.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, that's gonna be a major problem. So that's something to concern with a little bit. Probably the next thing I would say, and this is just before we get to the, you know, historical inaccuracies, what's your thoughts on it going to World War II in general? Like, taken away, like, not regarding the historical inaccuracies, just the idea.
I like the idea. I'm personally all for the idea. I wanted a game, like, there's obviously been a lot of games that have been World War II, you know.
Like a lot of the Call of Duty games, the original Battlefield, and of course there's always been a lot of single player ones, Medal of Honor,
yeah,
just to name a few.
There's been a lot of World War II games out there, but I definitely wanted to see one in Battlefield graphics. They're stunning graphics, and yeah, I'm all for World War II.
Likewise, like, many people, like, just to address the Battlefield community early on, and I understand the position now, but, like, a lot of them were, like, saying that it should go back to modern day, and I was kind of I was kind of like rolling my eyes a little bit because I was like, guys, we just got a modern day Battlefield with Battlefield 4. Like, that game's still not...
And Battlefield 3, like...
It's not that old. Like, these games are not that old. You can still have fun with those. It's like, seriously, like, I understand that a lot of people prefer modern day to historical settings, and that's fine. But it's like, I get a little irritated back before the reveal trailer when the minute it's announced World War II, people are like, yep, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Like, yep, the game's gonna suck. And I'm just saying, that's a really weird way of thinking.
Yeah. And I will agree, like, World War II has been used a lot. Like, I think after this game, World War II should, and at least when it comes to first-person shooters, should be, like, taking a break from, just because it's been done a lot recently. But I'm not mad at all that this game was World War II.
Well, I'm pretty much the same here. I've always wanted a World War II video game with the Frostbite engine. I just figured it'd be really nice. I do feel the route they're going... Well, okay. I think it's time we address the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
This game is not accurate to the setting at all.
Yeah, there's definitely problems with the setting, with the accuracy of World War II. Battlefield, one thing that Battlefield always comes with, unlike pretty much every other shooter, is it's always immersion. Like, there's so much immersion, you feel like you're in whatever, you know, historical, you know, place you're in. You feel like you're in that battle, and that's one thing, that's one appeal that draws people to Battlefield. And this game, unlike all the other Battlefields, doesn't do that. There's several things, like, first of all, playable women. Now, I'm not a sexist or anything. Like, women in video games is fine, but when there actually wasn't women in World War II, you shouldn't put women in there. And
well, like, women did fight, but it's just not to the extent that this game is trying to make it look like. You know, they're trying to make it look like they were all over the place when they weren't. It was like, they were a rarity, like, the Americans, the British, the Italians, the Germans, Japanese, like, pretty much none of them allowed women in the front lines at all. Like, and people say, oh, are you trying to say that women weren't important in World War II? No, of course not. They were very important. They were at home working on the factories, making the tanks, weapons, and aircraft that we had to use to win the war. If, you know, especially in the case of the US, if women weren't utilized the way they were, we probably wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, that's what they did. It's like, why would a game purposely try to depict them doing something that they're not? And, you know, honestly, I'm gonna make it clear, I originally wasn't too bothered by this, but as time went on, it bothered me more, both just when thinking things through, and especially with how DICE has been responding to this.
Like, yeah, they have had backlash towards their fans, and you know, they kind of just disrespectfully throw it in our faces and don't really give good explanations for it, and they still treat the game and advertise the game as a completely historical accurate game. They don't, you know, acknowledge the fact that it's not. And it's not even the women, like the women too, like, that's a big part, but like when you see women running around with bionicle arms, like that's like some futuristic sci-fi stuff. Like, that shouldn't be in World War II at all. And the uniforms, how the uniforms aren't matching with each country. Like, I'm down for uniform customization. Like, everyone can't just be wearing the same thing, but, you know, it should still resemble World War II. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a balance. Like, it needs to, like, everyone was claiming, like, you know, in Battlefield 1, everyone was like, there's not enough customization options. I completely agreed with that. But the premise was, and it was something I made clear even back then, that if you're going to add customization options to the game, it still needs to fit, like, that immersion. It still needs to feel like you're part of the military, if you will. And that's the issue with this. Like, when you look at a lot of the gameplay with what people are wearing, it's like, it doesn't even look like a military.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like militias at best.
Yeah, it's like rebellion, like random street civilians that are deciding to rebel or something. Like, when you have people running around with trench coats and like biker helmets and stuff, or whatever they're wearing, in like face tattoos. I'm just like that's not accurate at all. It's not. You know, this isn't GTA where you can customize your guy to be whatever. You need to at least look like a soldier for that country.
Well, yeah, like the whole premise is that you're part of these different groups, these different armies, and it's like I always told people who's, you know, actually like the options that the best middle ground would have just been to have different customization options for each faction. And that would have worked out great, because then you could, like, you know, say the French resistance would get more customization than, like, the Germans, because, well, the French resistance is an actual resistance.
Yeah, you can have women in there.
Yeah, like certain factions you could have women, like the French resistance, or the Italian resistance, or the Russians. But instead, they're kind of going this complete opposite extreme, where it's like, they're completely disregarding all the history while still saying it's historically accurate.
Like, if you're going to have historical inaccuracies, then advertise your game with historical inaccuracies. Say, this game takes place in World War II, but we acknowledge the fact that some things aren't completely accurate to World War II.
Heck, you could just do an alternate history scenario as well. Like,
yeah.
Like, anything works. But it's like, don't advertise it as saying, oh, this is a completely accurate World War II experience. Like, this is definitely what happened. Like, literally, DICE is openly challenging the fans, saying that this is accurate to the era when it's not. It's like DICE, for example, are saying, like, oh, all our fans think that no woman fought in World War II. That's obviously wrong, because women fought in World War II. Yes, that's true. They did. But not to the extent that you're trying to depict them at.
Well, yeah, like, first of all, really only Russia and the French resistance had women that were actually allowed to fight. And then any other woman was secretly fighting. Like, they shaved their head and they were, like, looking like men. Like, it was one in, like, probably 300 soldiers that you find a woman. Like, you would rarely see a woman. In this game, like, you look around, you see like 10 women. Like, probably half of the lobby could be women, you know? Okay, maybe not that much, because mostly guys play this game, but still.
Well, that's another issue that come in. It's like DICE claims that it's all just for the sake of women players, when it's like, no offense, 95% of the Battlefield community is composed of men. I'm sorry. Like, call me sexist all you want, but I'm sorry, when it comes with video games, period, but especially in the case of Battlefield, guys are the majority we're investing. It's like, when I go to a Battlefield opening night, which I like did a couple of years, it's like, I'm sorry, but I did not see a single woman waiting in line to buy the next Battlefield.
Yeah, most women aren't going to play Battlefield, and except maybe for the developer's daughter, who apparently doesn't realize that women didn't fight in World War II. For real, like...
Yeah, that's, like, their excuse. Like, I'm telling you guys, if you don't believe us, please just look it up. It's very easy to find.
Yeah, one of the developers' excuse for not having women was that his daughter asked why there was no women in the game, and he didn't know how to respond. Like,
you could just make it a 30-minute conversation and just explain, hey, that's how it was back then. Like, people think that, you know, for the sake of SJW and political correctness and all that, it's just, there's no point to it. It's like, history happened the way it did. Like, stop trying to say it's something that it isn't.
Yeah.
And like I said, people say, oh, you're just angry women are video games. Like, that's not the case. There's many single-player games with women as the main characters that I like.
Yeah.
And heck, even if you want to do like a campaign about, like, say, a woman resistance fighter, I'm okay with that. Like, that stuff is fine. And, you know, if this game took place in modern day, then that'd also be fine to have, like, women in multiplayer.
Yeah.
If it was like modern day, because, well, now we do allow women in the military.
Yeah, it's not the fact that we don't want women in video games, it's just we want an accurate representation of what actually happened, and that's not accurate. So obviously I don't think they're gonna like fix this or take this out, so it's most likely just gonna be a problem we're gonna have to live with. And gameplay wise, it doesn't ruin the game. It's gonna bug me, and it just kind of ruins the whole atmosphere. You know, when you're running around and you see a woman in a trench coat biker helmet with a bionic arm, it's like, am I playing World War II, or is this Wolfenstein or something? Like, yeah.
Well, honestly, what bothers me more than anything else is that it's going to sacrifice like one of the best aspects that Battlefield ever had over its competition.
Yeah.
Was just like, it was just the immersion. Like, the whole premise, like, you know, I loved Battlefield graphics and sound design to death, but the reason I always loved it in previous games is because that graphics and sound always immersed me. It made me feel like I was actually participating in a war. And like, you know, in this game, it's like, yes, I guess I'll still get the immersion, feel like I'm fighting a large-scale battle, but I'm not going to feel like I'm in World War II.
Yeah, I mean, you're really not going to feel like you're in World War II. You're going to feel like you're playing, you know, yeah, a large-scale battle, but it's not, you know...
It's just not going to feel the same. And I honestly, as well as this, just, it's kind of off topic, but it kind of just reflects the overall point. DICE has purposely been trying to do maps and locations that have not been seen that often. And honestly, I've always considered that a wasted opportunity, because I'm like saying to myself, yes, I understand that the major battles like D-Day, Stalingrad, what's another
Battle
one?
of the Bulge.
Yeah, Battle of the Bulge. I understand that these battles have been done to death in video games, but it's like they've never been done with the technical capabilities of the Frostbite engine. And it's like, imagine how immersive that would be. Like, the idea of, like, of course this would have to exist in a scenario where DICE actually cared about our opinion and, you know, didn't put immersive breaking stuff in the game. But imagine in that scenario, DICE has like a D-Day map.
Yeah, like a D-Day map in this graphics would be cool. Like, yeah, it's been done before, but not looking like this, you know?
And not like a full-scale multiplayer 32v32 action. Like, this is something that would be really awesome to do. And honestly, I just feel like they're kind of wasting the potential. But honestly, that's the issue with this game. It's like, people are saying, oh, I'm jumping on the hate wagon. Like, I never knew a hate wagon was a thing, but okay.
Yeah.
But, like, people say, oh, you're just hating on the game. You're just a filthy hater. I'm really not. Like, I'm still interested in seeing how the gameplay will fare. But it's like, it's just the problem with it is that even if I like the game, I'm just gonna look at it. Like, even, like, when I play this game, even if I have fun, I'm just gonna think in my mind what it could have been. Just the wasted potential that this game could have represented, which was, like, you know, an accurate depiction of World War II with these, like, really epic battles that, you know, historically mean a lot.
Well, the thing that Battlefield brings to the table every time again is always this immersion, big battles, and it brings that every time. You know, with this game compared to the other Battlefields, let's be real, gameplay-wise, it's going to bring the same thing. It's going to bring big, large-scale battles. But what made this game different was the fact that it's going to bring big, large-scale battles, but to an immersive World War II experience that we've never seen before in any game. And the thing is, now it's going to be a big-scale, large-scale battle like Battlefield is, but it's gonna take away the whole immersion of World War II part. I mean, it doesn't take away all of the immersion. It just takes
like,
away.
yes, of course you have the weapons and the vehicles and all that, but it's like
if you really wanted to, you could be just make yourself feel like you're a part of the battle, feel like you're a World War II troop. But as soon as you see like a woman walk by you, or like
a guy with a Captain Hook arm,
yeah,
you're gonna instantly be like, what the heck?
Yeah, you know.
It's like, all I can say is I hope that, gosh, they get a private, like, server in, so I can actually do some fun World War II role plays, because that's just what I need.
Like, I at least hope they take out the bionic arm and, like, messed up clothing and stuff, because, like, the women, it's like, whatever,
it's tolerable.
You can't even really notice in the midst of warfare who's a guy and a girl that much, unless you pay close attention, but, like, weird clothing and, like, bionic arms, straight up, that did never happen, so that needs to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, honestly, the whole premise is just, it's not going to be like this huge immersive experience. It's just gonna be like fun, chaotic war action, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird to describe, but it's like the idea that it's like you're doing something and you're having fun doing it, but you're not really knowing why you're doing it. It's like,
yeah,
you're gonna have fun playing the game, but you're gonna be like, there's no meaning to this. Like, it's like if this was an actual historically accurate game with like iconic battles like Stalingrad or D-Day, you can get immersed. You can feel to yourself, and like if you guys have any like grandparents or whatever that fought in World War II, you can be like, well, this is what it was like for them. And, you know, feel like it's important. Be like, come on, guys, we gotta win this multiplayer game so we can win the war for the US or Russia. Yeah. And, you know, it's just, you're not gonna get that feeling.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, overall, if you look at it gameplay-wise and oh yeah, I forgot to mention, they're doing Battle Royale in this game.
I was actually gonna get to that, yeah. What's your thoughts?
It's, again, it's same way I kind of feel about it with Black Ops 4, except kind of worse with this, just because, like, it's, first of all, it's just copying to get money, you know, it's what's popular now, so of course every game's gonna add it, but with Battlefield, it's like, I almost feel it, like, it's unnecessary. I feel like, with, like, the whole appeal to Battle Royale is you're playing on a huge map with a lot of people. But
Battlefield already
have that with vehicles, a huge immersion. Like, there's not really much different that I'm gonna get out of just playing a regular match than Battle Royale. I mean, I guess it's another mode.
And I guess in DICE's defense, it wouldn't be too hard to make it. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's the thing, since it already has the big maps and all that. At least theoretically, I don't think much resources had to be sacrificed for it to exist.
Yeah, like, I don't think it's...
Like, compare that to Black Ops 4, that literally had to give up a campaign for it.
Oh, so. yeah, definitely. But, yeah, so, like, I mean, overall, it actually does seem like it will be a pretty fun mode. But, again, it just kind of makes me mad, the whole aspect of how their games are now ripping off Fortnite.
Well, it honestly reflects, like, this entire game, and I feel like that's the problem. DICE is, like... What's honestly irritating me about this game is just the fact that it's sacrificing... Or, like, DICE is saying they're adding all this in for the sake of artistic vision, when, honestly, I feel like it's the opposite. It's like, if you truly wanted to commit to an artistic vision, then make the game based on the setting and try... Like, shouldn't it be, like, a prideful thing if you were able to directly say realistically, because, you know, you actually made a game that reflected that we created the most authentic and real, like, World War II video game ever made. Like, could you imagine how much that you could pride yourself on that?
Yeah, like, a lot of games have made a World War II game, but it's saying that yours is the most realistic, that's something you could be proud of. Like, instead... People are gonna look up, like, I mean, I guess I can't really say what people are gonna think about this game before it comes out, but as an assumption, people are gonna look back at the game being like, that was a fun Battlefield game, but it, like, didn't really make me feel like I was in World War II. Like, it's not gonna be renowned as a good World War II game, you know? And
due to that, the problem is that even if people play it, it's like, it's only gonna tie them over till the next Battlefield comes out, and it's not going to be anything more than that. Like, the minute the next Battlefield comes out, this one will, like, die.
Yeah.
When, like I said, if it committed to being a fully immersive World War II experience, you would have people that would stay here, even after, you know, Battlefield, say, goes back to modern day or something.
Well, if you have a good setting, that's why Battlefield 4 flourished, because it's a good modern day setting that people will stick with, unlike Hardline, where it's like, people played it, but as soon as the next Battlefield came out, they left. I mean, there was more problems than just the setting. Like, I think the setting was kind of dumb, but it was a breath of fresh air. I think mainly it was the gameplay.
Well, yeah, Battlefield Hardline was really dull by design, but it's like, this game is kind of heading in the same route, though, because, like, look, I understand a lot of people in the Battlefield community don't like Battlefield 1, but for all the flaws that game has, and look, I'm not gonna lie, Battlefield 1's not the most realistic authentic experience to Battlefield either, but okay. I just have to address this because people have been using this as a counter-argument against me. That they say, well, Battlefield 1 wasn't authentic to World War 1 either, and you didn't complain that much about that. Well, look, first of all, I did address that. I did tell people that I'm like, look, this is sad. It is sad that it's, you know, not like completely realistic to the era, but here's the difference. In my view, it's like Battlefield 1 had to break a lot of the authenticity for it to be a fun game. It's like, the whole premise about, like, World War 1 is that it's literally just like bolt action rifles. And that's about it. Like,
unless you want to play a game with completely bolt action, practically muskets, then have fun. But, you know, they're gonna have to add in assault weapons, you know, more accurate snipers, just to make the game more accurate. And as much as it's not necessarily realistic, at least it's more acceptable than like something that's not necessary.
Well, that's the thing. Like, at least with Battlefield 1, they had no choice but to do it for the sake of the game. They have a choice here. And they're deliberately choosing to, like, you know, make this non-realistic for the sake of, like, appealing to, like, the SJW community and, like, the very small minority of people that, you know, don't commit to your game. Like, DICE is acting like they owe nothing to their community when it's quite the opposite. Like, guys, no offense, I don't care how much you love, like, girls or whatever, but they're not the ones that carried your franchise for, 10 years now.
Yeah.
Alright, it's us hardcore gamers, and like I said before, 95% of them are guys.
So you might be gaining, or you might be, like, gaining, like, 2% of players that are women, but, like, 95% of the men are pissed, so...
And we're not saying that because, like, we're sexist idiots like you try to claim we are. We're just mad because you're kind of being disrespectful to an era that, you know, means a lot to a lot of people. Like, guys, you realize this is the era that defined the world we live in today. Like, no offense, the men you're depicting that died, like, these great soldiers that died, if it wasn't for them fighting and dying, you would not be able to make this game now.
Yeah, this world could be different. And, I mean, I'm sure this won't, like, happen, but, like, if I was because most people from World War II aren't playing this game or they're just dead, but if I was, like, a World War II veteran and I saw, like, what people thought World War II was like by looking at this game, I looked at it and saw women with bionicle arms running around, like, that would just anger me that people think it's like that. Like they're disrespecting the fact that this is not how the, you know, World War II was created, or World War II was actually like, and the game was created with that in mind. And if they, you know, acknowledged it, like if they said, this is not an accurate representation of World War II, or this is some kind of side, you know,
alternate history, alternate timeline scenario,
something, then it'd be like, okay, well, then that's fine. But when you are trying to put on an accurate representation of World War II, and you really don't do that, then that's a problem. That's false advertising.
Well, in a practical sense, it's contradictory. It's contradictory to what, like, even taken away of whether or not it's false advertising, you're directly going against what your community wants. It's like, you know, if you don't believe me, no offense, but the like to dislike ratio of your reveal trailer speaks for itself.
Like, yeah, well, there's more dislikes than likes. I mean, this isn't, like, up to scale with, like, Infinite Warfare or anything. It's not that bad. But, you know, when you can tell that your like-dislike ratio is worse and you have a reveal trailer, you need to fix something, and it's clearly obvious what the problem is. And they're just like, no. Like, sorry, like...
Well, they downright said that, like, if you have a problem with it, just don't buy the game. And I'm just like, are you seriously gonna get that ignorant? Like, are you seriously gonna be that stubborn about things? It's like, look, I understand at this point you probably can't be perfect. Like, you probably can't throw out everything, otherwise it'd just be a waste of resources. because you know it costs money to throw this stuff in. But like,
Mhm.
I understand that. But like, guys, at the very least, try to make a compromise or something. Like, say, fine, we'll keep some of the stuff in, but just, you know, say, hey, you have to be a really high rank to wear it, or
Yeah.
hey, you have to, or hey, like, we're gonna just, you know, for the robot arm, it only works for a certain class, or
really, honestly, like, especially the robot arm, that's one thing about, like, even if you keep the women, at least get rid of the robot arm, or do something about that, because that's, like, actually inaccurate. Like, with women, it's, like, whatever, but with robot arms, this isn't, like, you know, futuristic.
like, guys, no offense, like, I thought Call of Duty World War II was bad,
Yeah.
with a lot of its breakings of historical accuracy, but no offense, I feel like you're purposely trying to, like, top them on it, like,
Yeah.
why? It's stupid. Like, it's not that difficult just to make a good, accurate World War II experience, and that's what people want. It's like, guys, if you want to appeal to all, like, the modern, you know, SJWs and, like, oh, we want women to fight in wars and stuff, then just, like, make an accurate World War II game first, and then go back to modern day, where you can throw all that in.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that simple.
Or just, I mean, I don't know, if you really want to do it, add in women or something, then create, like, I don't know, say if you buy the DLC, or wait, there's no DLC for this game.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, there's so many creative ways that, like, if you have to do an alternate history, that would have been, I would have accepted that. That would have been cool, like a Man in the High Castle scenario.
Yeah.
Like, I think people would have been fine with that. Like, yes,
I
for
would
a
have
lot of,
rather had World War II, but
yeah, like, a lot of people like me would still be disappointed. We'd be like, well, that sucks, we're not getting an accurate World War II experience, but, like, I don't know, at least it's being replaced by something interesting, and it's not, like, frustrating us.
yeah, it's not the fact that women are in the game, it's the fact that you're saying this is an accurate representation of World War II when there's women in the game, like.
And like I said, it's not just women.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, the uniform, like the outfits, the prosthetic arms, the,
Yeah, all of that.
yeah, like, a lot of it just doesn't make sense. And, you know, like I said, call us what you want. At this point, I don't care. No offense, if you keep calling us that and refuse to listen to us, you're only setting yourselves up for failure.
Yeah.
Because it's like, seriously, guys, I defended you more than most people, so, like, please, if you're not even gonna listen to me, like, fine, but stop insulting your community, like, actually hear what they have to say and at least try to compromise.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this game is gonna necessarily be bad or anything. You know, it still is. You know, it still could be good, but it definitely is gonna ruin the whole immersion aspect for me, or at least dumb it down.
Yeah, but that's about it, guys. Thank you for watching our long video. Yeah, until then, guys, we will see you on the next video, and thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Until then, we'll see you next time. Peace.